Today I'm doing a landscape in landscape using some fun materials and easy techniques. We are going to paint with a hairdryer in the style of an artist I'm sure you all know very well. Follow along and let me show you how to do it. Welcome from London. I hope you're good and you are ready to create something. I've received many comments, as you can imagine, daily, and I really appreciate them. This week, 2 of them made me really think. One of my lovely subscribers asked me, why don't I make something landscape? And another person would like me to make a different scene, maybe incorporating buildings. And I've decided to do it. I've decided to make a landscape painting. This is 40 by 30 deep edge canvas. I do like them. They look interesting on the wall. And I want to make a textured landscape. You will never guess that. Inspired by the amazing Bob Ross. How about that? See if I can utilize the texture paste and glue gun and create something in his style. I'll show you one of his paintings that I really like. I'm not going to, of course, copy it, but I want to create something like this. Beautiful mountain view with some trees and perhaps a little hut. How about that? The first thing I'm going to do is to draw the mountain range. Now I'm going to do it freehand. However, if you don't feel up to it, you can always find an image. There are royalty-free images. You can use your own photo and just trace the outline if that helps. I am going to use texture paste, so of course it's going to change later on. However, I want to know where my mount. What a mouthful! I want to know where my can you say my mountain? Where my mountains are going to be. Oh, I did it. And how high I want them to be. So that's probably would be one peak somewhere here. Once I'm happy with the mountains, and as I said, of course, they will be slightly changed. I'm penciling in my tree. And how big do I want this tree to be? Oh, I'm going to put the house somewhere here. And I am making a different shape for the house. I like those mountain style houses. At the moment, I have no clue how I'm going to do it with texture paste, with perhaps pouring acrylics. I'm curious myself, let's just say that. Okay, whoa, this is my first, is it my first landscape painting? I do vaguely remember doing one landscape perhaps. Personally, I don't know, for reasons unknown, I prefer this orientation. But that's a good one for the landscape. I was wondering whether to use my super heavy gesso or all-purpose filler, or perhaps both. I do like gesso on its own because it's so smooth, but on the other hand, I want my mountains to be a bit thicker and more, wanted to say sturdy, but that sounds a bit awkward, but a bit more chunky. So I'm going to use both. No worries, this is clean. This is the other side. I just reuse everything. So that's from last week's textured rose. If you haven't watched it, please do. That was my first time I made a rose with a palette knife. No brush at all. Wonder how much I will need. I can always add more if it's not enough. I think that's kind of plenty. All right, gesso. 50-50, or once I mix, I see whether I like the consistency. Oh, I like it. A couple of you asked me whether my paste cracks. Honestly, I've been doing it for quite some time. I've never seen it cracked, but I don't know what will happen in 20 years. I can't honestly say because I haven't been doing it for so long. I'm going to go, no worries if I'm going to go over my trees because I do want some underneath. The tree will be on top. You see, naturally the palette knife creates all those crevices. Oh, by the way, I think I should go with the mountains that are in the distance first. That makes more sense, doesn't it? So I'll start with all those mountain ranges that are the furthest. But you know how I like making something new. I get so excited then. Imagine if I did 3 mountains like that before. I'll be like, okay, that's the way you do it. You apply here, push your palette knife. But I discover every step together with you, and I like it this way. So yes, no worries that we lose the definition of the house or the trees. So they were only an indication for me where to apply some of the paste. If this is going to be a lake or a river, I don't think I need any paste on it. Why am I putting texture here? Because there will be some snowdrifts, perhaps, you know, some shrubs with snow on them. Now, I was planning my trees with glue gun, but at the moment I'm thinking I could use a piping bag and actually apply everything with texture paste. If I'm going to use my piping bag, I have to spread my paste everywhere. When I was planning glue gun, I didn't want to put the paste underneath because I wasn't sure whether the glue gun will adhere to it. At the moment, I think it absolutely makes sense utilizing this paste and finishing off and seeing if also there's plenty of snow. I'm sure the owners of the house would have cleaned it by now, so it's not going to be so thick here. I'm making a cone. I can tape around the whole thing so it stays nicely in place. Once this is ready, I'm going to load it with the leftover paste. You can use a plastic bag as well. I personally prefer these. It's easier to hold. Now it looks so I don't have much at all. I create some more. Well, I changed my mind. First of all, because it's already 12 p.m. Secondly, because I think it's going to be much easier once this is dry, and it's already getting dry. Look, I can touch it here. Let's leave it to set. I do like the mountains. I hope you like them too. And yes, it's in a jar. So that, and I'll continue tomorrow. I am going to start with these trees. If anything goes wrong, I'll wipe it off. I am also going to use a brush, wet brush, if I need to spread my paste. I will add some shrubs later on, so at the moment let me leave it like this. Okay, now not sure how much of the paste I want. So this is my testing ground to see if I like the tree or not. If you hear this horrible noise, we've got a really nasty storm today, and that's the wind. What do you think? Does that look like a decent tree? And yes, I can fiddle with my brush a bit. Maybe I'll flatten it a bit in places. I do want to create an impression of snow on the tree, so that's fine. Definitely don't need the trunk to be so thick here. Well, I am having fun. I can do a bigger one straight away. And of course it's going to be overlapping here, so yes, I'm going to lose some of those. And should I get rid of this? Preserve my tree? Okay, let's do that. See, we're not risking anything here. Not a problem. You see how nice it is when the background is dry? Okay, in which case, where do I want the second one? Somewhere here then. It's only because I liked my prototype. Smaller? Yes. If you're asking me how I'm doing the branches, you can see I don't know, just squeezing it out and some paste comes out. Smaller towards the top, more bushy at the bottom. Okay. Okay, now some little shrubs. Or perhaps I did have a smaller one. There's not much here at all. See, I closed the end so it doesn't get dry. See if I can squeeze anything out of this. Oh yeah, I could also do this. That's fun as well. I think this small one will be perfect for the house as well. I didn't notice that I had the light here on the table. I am so sorry. Oh my goodness. And now I should do the house. I would also like to give a shout out and a huge thank you to everyone who is supporting me and the channel on Patreon. From just $2 a month, you can get access to extended versions of my weekly tutorials and lots of fun content. Thank you again to everyone who has joined me there. I think I am kind of done. Got a little bit left to create some more snowdrifts, and that's it. The last thing I want to show you is how nice it looks with the light switched off. You can see all the shadows. Look how thick some of those trees are. Wow. Even those little shrubs. My landscape is super dry. And I did one more thing. I actually covered everything with white acrylic. Why? Because I had a thought, you know, when you use the 3D paste and especially all-purpose filler, I thought if I'm going to use any watery paint over, I did not want to risk anything getting mushy. It probably wouldn't, but just in case, you can use a brush or you can use spray paint if you want to, or just don't bother. I want everything wintry with snow. So in the end, I've concluded that I'm going to use the same colors as I used for my deer. That's been super popular and I am super happy because I honestly didn't expect it. So I found the leftover paints, got some containers, so we've got all those leftover paints. As usual, I kept intermixing them. So what do we have? Of course, number one, titanium white. We've got two blues. Sorry, this looks a bit dirty, but this is cobalt blue and phthalo blue. I also have a bit of velvet purple, but you might think that those colors are much lighter. Yes, because each color I mixed, I added lots of white to it. And the last one, pearl pink. I might use it, a little bit of pearl pink. I want them very, very, very runny. I might actually spray a bit more water. Why very runny? Because the last thing I want is to pour the paint and cover all my intricate designs. So I need a really runny paint, yes, to cover them, but I don't want anything blobby. I want the paint to drip off my 3D elements. I forgot, I'm also using silver. In this case, it looks like silver, but it's pale space gray. Putting it higher and taking my hairdryer out. Goodness me. If I'm not sure what to do, I usually start with the mid-tone because that can't go wrong. So some blues, somewhere in the middle. Oh, that's nice. Okay, grey, a lot of grey towards the mountains. Always, you know, tempted just to use a brush, but I don't want to. I wanted more fun and I wanted to be accessible to everybody. So see how the paints behave. So at the moment I am going to tilt it a bit to see if I've got enough. Oh wow, look at this. See the patterns on the trees? That's so cool. Well, I do like the colors, that's something. I do like them, even without white, and I'm thinking maybe I shouldn't be adding too much white. Sometimes I can't make up my mind. Okay, but I need to start blowing rather quickly, otherwise some sections might be a bit too dry. In the end, I quickly added some white to the lightest blue because I want some white here. And if I need more, I'll make some more. Right, are you ready? Well, my dangerous old friend, please don't make it. It's falling apart completely, but it's still better than my new one. I quite like that. However, I am not too keen on the sky because I want it lighter. Oh, I like this because this is the focus. That's where the river went. So I quite like that. Perhaps I'll add a little bit of the light blue here. Oh, that's almost white. And this one. Trying to figure out where my mountains are. My mountains are a bit lower. What is this? That's a lot of grey, so maybe I am going to blow some of it off, leaving some streaks of blue. But I do like the sky now a lot. Oh yeah. Okay, now I find it interesting. What do you think? And yes, I'm going to touch the edges. There are only a few drops, so not too bad. I'm happy so far. I'm not sure there's any point of me torching because I'm not expecting any sales, but just a little bit. So there are no air bubbles. And if there are tiny, tiny cells like this on the snow, okay. I'm happy. I kind of like it even now. It's so weird. Doing the edges, collecting the leftover as usual because I want another beautiful color. And yes, and that's it for today. I am so proud of myself because it's not even 11. I can't believe it. When you use the hairdryer and when your paint is really thin, it dries super quickly. So this is the next day. This is completely dry. Look at the mountain. Look at the shadows. I don't need any shadows behind. So I am considering adding white on top. I like the edges as well. It's sort of so flowing. I got the landscape without painting anything. We painted with the hairdryer. So this is my fluid acrylic. Let's start with the top. Oh, you see, that's kind of so easy. Now I'm going to repeat it on the other trees. I'm already on this one. I thought these are a bit closer, so maybe I should put a bit more white on them. Because on most of them I used pouring acrylic, but now I think I want these to be standing out a bit more. On the other hand, I don't want to cover everything with white because that will look slightly unnatural. But too much. And I'm still wondering, what am I going to do with the mountains? Quite a lot of white on the house. Okay, so now the mountains. You see, I really like those patterns. So what can I do with white? I'll add a little bit to the mountain peaks. And maybe I'll do it following the lines of the colors, like some sections only. I don't like it. I don't like this. That's for sure. They are fantasy mountains, you know. They are not real. And once it's dry, I might add more. But at the moment, I think I will stick to just a little bit of snow. I was considering palette knife first, but then I thought it will go against the very smooth and silky color mixing. It will look too different. So I changed my mind. Also, these mountains are further than those, so white should be basically grey. I had an idea. What if I add a little bit of thick white onto some of the edges here to create, well, more snow? I'm wondering whether maybe I will use a small bag and squeeze out only paint. I think that's a bit too much. See that? A bit more snow. I wasn't sure about the mountains, but I'm trying. I really, it's kind of, I'm torn because part of me wanted to add some white with a palette knife, but on the other hand, I do want to preserve those marks. I think I need a bit of imperfection here and there. They're looking like too uniform. Well, there we are. I hope you enjoyed the journey and the many little accidents along the way, as Bob would say. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and if you would like to help support the channel, don't forget to check out my Patreon for extended tutorials and my website where I have my pieces for sale. I will see you all next week for the premiere of my new tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye!